Hello viewers, welcome to this week's edition of the program. It is Economic Insight and I'm your host, Paul Kingsley. Today on this edition, we shall be taking a topical look at some of the issues affecting players in the construction industry and also the agricultural sector. Doing justice to this is the Chief Executive Officer of Imani Group. I'm talking of Malam Suleiman Abubakar. He shall be giving us their contribution to the agricultural sector, infrastructure development, and some other issues affecting the industry. It promised to be an interesting conversation. Just sit back, relax. I'll be back after this time out.
Considering the importance globally attached to housing provision, Imani Group is striving to providing innovative solutions to the housing sector. The company has distinguished itself to become one of the leading real estate development companies in Nigeria, with the aim of delivering high-quality and affordable luxury homes to Nigerians. Malam Suleiman Abubakar is the Chief Executive Officer.
Imani Group is primarily infrastructure real estate development company, registered in 1978. So this is our 40th year, 41 this year. We started with affordable housing estates in Bauchi, Jos, Kaduna. We were some of the pioneer estate developers in Suleja, and then eventually we ended up in Abuja. So we are historically, or should I say biologically, from Kefi, just down the road here in Nasarawa State. So we've been very active in Abuja since inception. In fact, we're one of the earlier groups to start in Abuja. We have since diversified into hospitality and agriculture. We're very excited about our involvement in the agri space and the potentials it holds for the economy.
The inspiration to the real estate development is driven by the desire to deliver quality homes to Nigerians.
The Imani Group is a family business inspired by the founder, who had an engineering background. So that is the inspiration of Imani Group, and very passionate about construction and real estate, and so this is now a continuation of the founder's vision, and we're going on with the dream, and hopefully we're getting stronger and better.
Through the use of cutting-edge technology, Imani Group is highly equipped with skilled and experienced professionals with special interest in real estate development and construction services.
Well, Imani has some pioneering endeavors. Again, like I said, we started very early in the 70s, late 70s in Bauchi State. I think anybody from Bauchi will know what was then the assembly quarters. The legislators' quarters of Bauchi was a product of Imani. Then again, we were pioneers in the establishment of real estate in Abuja. We started in Suleja because Abuja then was not ready. So we started work in Suleja, which is today the Zuma Barracks. They were subsequently taken over by the military. And we positioned in Suleja to be active in the Abuja market. And of course, in the Abuja market, we were leaders for a very long time in the development of Abuja. And I think we occupy a pride of place in the Abuja property market. Then we also pioneered some of the affordable housing schemes. We were some of the earlier companies that got involved with the Federal Mortgage Bank, and then it was Professor Mabogunje led technical committee for affordable housing in Nigeria. We started with housing development in Maraba, which is an outskirts of Abuja. And again, that was a pioneering role. And we have grown in all of these fields in which we were pioneers. Okay, I think the developers, mostly, I must confess that this is an exciting time for developers, because one of the biggest challenges is the lack of continuity with what are the policies and the programs, especially those that have to do with affordable housing. I can share that in the very early stages, there's a beautiful blueprint on affordable housing, which was espoused by Professor Akim Mabogunje, and which we all excitedly embraced. And we all sort of committed resources and time and effort into it. But that particular vision, even though it was being refined continuously, but there have been breakages in the continuation of how to create a chain for affordable housing delivery. I think this is the key challenge. So there are people willing to go and build the houses. Then there are obviously people who need the houses. Then you need to bridge the gap between those that have built the houses and those that need the houses, so that you create a seamless chain of transaction. And if that is established, I mean, it's amazing what impact it can have on the economy. When we talk of unemployment, when we talk of capital, creation of capital for affordable purposes and for the working and middle class, this affordable housing is the key. We suffer unemployment at a scale which is becoming now dangerous for the country. And we are very glad that this government is completely focused on that. And this is a quick win, and I'm glad that they have recognized it. Affordable housing chain as a factory is a quick win, because it can mop up unskilled labor. It can create a value chain of skilled craftsmen, which does not need that much educational background. And this is sorely lacking in the country. We have a lot of educated people, but then we don't have a lot of skilled people. And this is itself a problem for the industry. So affordable housing will afford the opportunity to address this particular gap. Well, I must tell you, it's a very simple equation. Private sector can go into affordable housing, and we have. But the big challenge is how to exit your transactions in the affordable housing space. You go and you build the houses, and you have hundreds and thousands of subscribers who want these houses that you built. But the mechanism for the developer to exit from the project and for the client to acquire the project is where government intervention is sorely needed. But once that can be straightened out, I mean, you don't tell private sector to go after opportunity. That is their job. They smell opportunity and they go after it. And this housing deficit is something that the whole world has taken attention of, the housing deficit that exists in the Nigerian market. So there are global companies around the world who will come into Nigeria. But the issue is, how do you exit the transactions? This is really the key. And I think once that is addressed, the impact is just going to be phenomenal to the economy.
Okay.
Well, I believe government has come up with a few schemes, family homes fund, national mortgage refinancing corporation, but the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is actually the key, because they are the ones that have the database of most contributors to the economy, the National Housing Fund, and they are the ones who are easily accessible, because Federal Mortgage Bank is widespread all over the country. So there are branches of FMBN everywhere in Nigeria, and they have some level of competence in dealing with these affordable housing issues, because they have been trying, over time to fine-tune their processes. And I think if they are recapitalized at a level that can allow them provide exit for property to estate developers in the affordable housing space, I think we will be on our way. Yeah, well, this awareness, Nigeria is a country that people react. We are a touch and feel country, we're not a sound bite country. If the awareness will happen when many people participate in the fund and are successful, then it sets off a chain reaction. Nigerians, this one's brother went into the fund, he bought a house. This one has moved into a new estate. How did he get it? Through the fund. And before you know it, it's a chain reaction. That's how we operate as a country. We are not too much about the radio jingle or TV adverts. It is more the experience. What happened to the man? And we can be quite skeptical. So if people go into the scheme and then end up with problems instead of success, it really dampens enthusiasm for the scheme. But if they go and the story coming out of the scheme is all good, it will be well embraced. There was initial enthusiasm a lot, but because of all the hitches and the hiccups, people have sort of drawn back. I know engagement with labor, engagement with corporates, engagement with the banks. They are all supposed to be part of this National Housing Fund scheme. But, everybody has his reason why he's hesitant to proceed. But once we work it out, I think it's a platform that can resolve this issue very quickly too.
Over the years, indigenous companies in Nigeria have recorded a low level of participation and have often been sidelined in large-scale construction activities. This has been attributed to, amongst a number of factors, mismanagement of funds and working capital, which makes them prone to bankruptcy, with poor project execution and abandonment the likely outcome. The question now asked is, does government lack confidence on indigenous companies in the construction industry?
There's not a lack of confidence in indigenous players. Everybody has a story. The indigenous players have their story. You can say, the indigenous players too are afraid of government contracts. Just the same way you can say government is not confident with indigenous players. Everybody has a story about his experiences in the industry. But I know very big indigenous players, and I know those who have had a bad experience, in doing business with government. So if you look at Julius Berger now, Julius Berger is largely owned by indigenes. So is Julius Berger an indigenous company or not? It is on the stock exchange. You can go and buy its shares. And I believe some of the key owners of Julius Berger now are Nigerian indigenes. So in patronizing Julius Berger, is that an indigenous company or not? So, I don't think that there's any lack of faith in indigenous companies.
However, there is a pervading view that indigenous companies have not had a fair share of major construction activities in the country, as they are often awarded to their foreign counterparts, whom are considered more technically and managerially more superior and efficient in funds acquisition and project execution.
Well, what's the level playing ground? Level playing ground is you go and cut a tender, and you demonstrate your capacity within the tendering process. And I believe most government jobs are tendered now. So it is for you to go and demonstrate your capacity within the tendering process. And if you are found to be qualified or suitable, I'm sure you will win. The good thing is that the narrative has changed now. There's not too much of the under the table activities that are going into the process now. So there's a lot of transparency in the processes now. So it's for you to develop your capacity as an indigenous or multinational player in the industry. Well, I believe the impact is ongoing, and I think that some of the things that have slowed us down in the past are being taken care of, and I think the opportunity is clear. The body language of government is clear. And the private sector, as you know, they are economic opportunists. And I think the body language of government, where you will get a lot of support, is clear. Industries like agriculture will get support. And so we have to find a way to be involved in that space. And when you look at the gap between the producers, just like in real estate, those who produce on the farms, and those who pay for them in the supermarkets and the markets. When you look at the disparity, you can see the opportunity. So it's really for us to figure out, with the support of the institution, how to close that gap while benefiting from the opportunities that exist. But clearly it's there, the gap is there. You see how much a farmer sells his product on the roadside, and how much you pay for it in the supermarket, the same product. You know that so surely there's an opportunity there. We are grateful as a nation that we're going to experience some level of continuity. So we already know the body language of government. We understand where their priorities are. We will key into that. So no need to rearrange your strategies or your focus. But what I would advise government is to set up effective feedback mechanisms, just so that they know how well the programs are working. Because we all know, we can all see clearly the good intention of the president and this government. Sometimes the disconnect happens when there's no proper feedback mechanism. So where all the policies are espoused and cast out there, they do not really get the correct feedback as to how well those policies are working and where the adjustments need to be made. And I think this is where that if they can concentrate there, they will get proper feedback and will move very quickly. Things will happen very quickly in the country. Well, my advice again is the same thing. The opportunities are there, boundless. My primary advice is first, be willing to be an apprentice. Be willing to find somebody who has succeeded in what you desire for yourself and understudy what are the ingredients of his success, and then begin to apply it to yourself. I think this is a key. And you can do that at great sacrifice to yourself, without necessarily demanding for compensation, especially when you're young, you have time. So be willing to sacrifice that time, but find the right environment, the right people, the right mentors. Be an apprentice for a while and understudy the ingredients of their success, and then begin to see how you can apply it to yourself. I've been largely operating in the private sector. I had a stint to work in government. I represented the organized private sector and the Fiscal Responsibility Commission. I also had an opportunity to work as a consultant in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Water Resources and Rural Development then. And my hobbies include swimming and polo. And, I think I'm developing a habit as a social commentator now, just because, we believe that time is going. So we really absolutely need to speak up where our voices can help. Yeah, and I think this is a habit that I will cultivate more and more with the passage of time.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution on the program. We really appreciate your time out of a busy schedule. We really appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words.